Hello friends, so we will be discussing something rather dramatic, path-breaking, revolutionary, astounding and amazing today. See, we have all been hearing for the last many days the word break the chain. It's all about breaking the chain of transmission of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which leads to spreading of COVID-19. Now, today we are going to discuss the futuristic scenario of COVID versus blockchain. So, the term blockchain is familiar only to few IT professionals who are at the cutting edge. It's hardly familiar to the general public, literally unknown to the medical profession. So I have one of my major responsibilities today is to make it clear what blockchain is all about, which I do in little depth and length. Before that, see, what is happening right now is research is going on all over the world. In some of the world's best research labs owned by the WHO, owned by universities like Harvard, owned by universities like Oxford, where they're trying to find the right drug or vaccine or both for the SARS-CoV-2 virus. I was listening to a release from the Oxford University that they found a vaccine for COVID-19, which the spokesman was saying would be released to Brits or the British people in a short while. Surprisingly and unfortunately, forgot to mention to all those patients of COVID-19 worldwide. He was talking about making this vaccine available to the British patients. That sounded rather divisive and rather constricted in view. Fine. See, what's happening right now is some research is going on how some of the cutting edge institutions around the world. Some research is going on at Harvard Medical School. Some may be going on at Mayo Clinic. Some may be going on at Oxford. Some may be going on at WHO. Some research may be going on at ICMR. Some may be going on at Johns Hopkins University. But then there is no connection between these research programs. Or in other words, many of them may be reinventing the wheel. Reinventing the wheel simply means they may be doing what exactly. See, Harvard may be right now doing what Oxford has already done, or vice versa. WHO may be proceeding in a direction which has already been treaded by many other labs across the world. What is the net result? The drug or vaccine against COVID-19 gets delayed, and a drug delayed is drug denied. I'd like to extrapolate the principle, legal principle. Justice delayed is justice denied. Similarly, a drug which is delayed is actually a drug which is denied to the suffering public. So let's see what blockchain is all about and how this can revolutionize the research process which is currently on to find a drug and a vaccine for COVID-19. Slide please. Okay, so this is what is known as blockchain. See, for your information, blockchain is completely different from the internet that we are familiar at this point of time. See, in a blockchain, we have a public ledger instead of a privately controlled database. It's like an open book. In a blockchain, any member can record anything. Once recorded, It cannot be erased. It is a permanent record. Nobody can erase anything from the blockchain. So if your recorded is useful and meaningful, some other member of the blockchain will take it forward. And he will record his findings. See, generally what happens in drug researches or vaccine researches, it is sponsored by one of the giant pharmaceutical or biological companies. These companies have vested interests. They would like to do research in strict confidentiality. So the drug patent or vaccine patent can be their own, and they can make millions and billions of it. What is the scenario at this point of time? Here the sponsor for research to find a drug or a vaccine against COVID-19 is humanity across the world. It is not any drug company. There is no vested interest here. So blockchain would be the ideal process by which research can find continuity. This is the ideal process by which research can proceed without duplication, without reinventing the wheel. See, the basic structure that you see on screen. Blockchain comprises of many blocks. That's why it's called chain of blocks, blockchain. The first block obviously is called starting block. So every block contains a hash number which tells us which is the predecessor block or the previous block. It will also contain a transaction root, means the previous predecessor chain in which chain of blocks this belongs to. It will have a timestamp, means what time was this recorded, and it will have the current instance or whatever is to be recorded in that block. Now, if this is to be taken forward by some other member of the block, he will take it up, and the next block. See, look at the starting block in green, main blocks in blue. A main block is a continuum of the starting block. So he is taking up research further. So for example, Harvard recorded their findings in the starting block. Oxford takes it up in the first main block. They record their research progress in the first main block. From there, the WHO labs take up research. So it moves on to the next main block. That is the on your left hand side. And the research continues. Please note, in this process, nobody is duplicating any research process. Nobody is reinventing the wheel. You'll find another block out there called the orphan block. Means that's, let's say, Johns Hopkins proceeded in a direction. They started from the main block 1 and they proceeded in a direction which was a dead end. There's no point continuing research in that line. So there are no takers from there on. So the research process ends there. That's why it's a purple block and it's called an orphan block. Fundamentally, blockchain in research is all about each research lab in the world recording the status of their research in their block, and every other research lab in the world checking out whether they would like to continue further from this block, and if they find it appropriate, they take it up, and then the next main block comes up. If at some point a lab does something which nobody is interested to continue further, their research output belongs to the orphan block. It's a dead end. Otherwise it continues. The advantage of this process is that we can compile the intellectual capacity of scientists all over the world, the infrastructure of labs all over the world, and continue research from where the previous lab left. Okay? So this is the only way we can find a quick solution.